All right, welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. Today we are talking about the breaking news around Austin Ekeler and his return back to the Washington Commanders and his impact in today's game. We're also going to be looking at three things that the Washington Commanders are going to need to do in order to win against the Dallas Cowboys and hopefully secure the sixth seed in this upcoming NFL playoffs. And so let's start with the breaking news around Austin Ekeler. This is according to ESPN.com. It looks like that Austin Ekeler will be back for the Washington Commanders in today's game. And so this is going to be huge. They initially opened up his 21-day window. And so this is kind of the comments that we're hearing from Dan Quinn. He's saying that he looked great this week. He looked fast. He looked explosive. He's looking like he has a lot of energy. And looks like that the Washington Commanders are very pleased with the progress that Austin Ekeler has had. And so I've talked about this before. You see the stats here that he's rushed for 355 yards and 4 touchdowns. He's also caught 33 passes for 346 yards. He's averaged 31.3 yards on 19 kick returns as well. And so, look, Austin Ekeler is going to be huge for the Washington Commanders. And I think that this comes at a great time that he's going to get back out there because, Austin Ekeler really gives this team a great change in pace out there on the offensive end. I think he's certainly going to add to Brian Robinson, Chris Rodriguez, and also to Jeremy McNichols as well. He is going to help that backfield. This is something that is the Washington Commanders' identity, which is running the football. And so I also think that he's just really going to open it up in the passing game as well. So I think that this comes at a critical time. I know that Zach Ertz has really stepped up, and I think that now that you're headed to the postseason, this is where you see veteran players really help your football team. Austin Ekeler has been there. I think that he is going to be able to really get some things done in the middle of the field. I still think that even being a veteran in this league, I still think that he can win in a lot of one-on-one matchups against these linebackers and things like that. And so it's great to see this as a Washington Commanders fan, and I'm looking forward to seeing just how dynamic he is going to help this offense down the stretch. And so next up, let's go ahead and shift focus here and look at the major keys to today's game against the Dallas Cowboys. And so we've been talking about this on a couple videos leading up to today, but just breaking it down into the three. And so I think that we start with number one, which is getting off to a great start. And so I think that when you look at this last game with the Commanders, I've talked about this before. This also was talked about on Locked On Commanders. But look, the Washington Commanders were able to start in Dallas Cowboys territory 5 times and only coming up with 3 points out of that. You cannot get off to a slow start like this in today's game. And I think that you want to get off to a good start so you can go ahead and rest starters and hopefully get them ready for that playoff appearance here in the 6th seed, not the 7th seed. So again, hopefully the Washington Commanders take care of business and get that 6th seed. But I think it starts with getting off to a good start because we know that the Washington Commanders can certainly finish well. They finished well against the Philadelphia Eagles. They finished well against the Falcons. Heck, even in this last game against the Dallas Cowboys, they finished well. We just came up short in that game, but this team shows you that it can finish well. I'm just wanting to see this team put it together for 4 quarters, be able to start well and finish well. And I think that they're going to start to put some teams away early here because remember, in that last game, 34-26, Jaden Daniels really got hot at the end. He threw 2 interceptions in that game, but still was able to get us back into some good positions here to almost secure that football game. So hopefully we can take off from there. And so next up, I think another key out of this is that the Washington Commanders really need to play some clean football because in that last game, we did have the 2 interceptions. We had some turnovers in that last game against the Falcons. And, we've really got to make sure that we clean that up. I know Jaden Daniels, since that time in Dallas where Washington had lost 3 in a row, he's thrown for 13 touchdowns with 4 interceptions in a 4-game winning streak here. So hopefully we can continue to, I think, trend away from the turnovers. And we really have to win the turnover battle. I think that is important in really any sport and definitely in football. And so hopefully we clean that up. I think that is key number 2. And then, just cleaning up some things as far as just penalties and then also to stopping the run. And so let me start with cleaning up the penalties. And so over the last 3 games, I saw a stat here where the Washington Commanders are actually averaging right around, I think, 9.3 penalties per game. And so that is something that the Washington Commanders really need to seriously clean up. We did get penalized quite a bit in this last game against the Falcons. And honestly speaking, I didn't agree with a lot of this stuff, but 13 penalties for 108 yards there. We had 6 penalties for 93 yards against the Eagles. And then against the Saints, we had 9 penalties for 84 yards. And so that is entirely too many penalties. This is something that the Washington Commanders really do not need to do. I know that this team is terrific at scoring. They're terrific at moving the football. They're terrific at converting third downs, but we do not want to play defense for the other team. And so that means that you have got to get better as far as, just not getting these penalties and things like that. And so hopefully this is something that the Washington Commanders can lock in on. I know that we do have a couple of offensive linemen that are going to be out in today's game. So certainly that is going to play a factor, but still the Washington Commanders need to clean this up. And so next up, I think really the last thing here, as far as cleaning up some of the stuff that has been going on with their football team, I think it comes down to still stopping the run. And I think that this is something that the Washington Commanders have really struggled with, I think, throughout the year. And thankfully, we've been able to shut down some elite running backs in the second half, whether it's Bijan Robinson or Saquon Barkley. So I have to give them credit. They've done a terrific job there. But I'd have to think that the Washington defense wants to get on these running backs early. You do not want them to get started early. And I just think that when the playoffs roll around, that is something that teams are going to rely on, especially when you're playing outdoor football. I think that the air comes out of the football. Don't get me wrong, you're still going to pass the football in some of these, terrible conditions and stuff like that. That's part of the game. But running the football, dominating up front in the trenches, that's always something that has been apparent in any era of football. And so that teams have seen that this is something that the Washington Commanders have struggled with. And I'm hoping that the defense can really just hone in on this and think of it much like kind of what we were talking about with Cliff Kingsbury and the offense. And, I think people were trying to figuring out, hey, it looks like they're lining Terry McLaurin up at the same place. And I think since then, you've seen the offense kind of shift and it's gotten even more dynamic. I think that the defense is going to have to make that type of shift here going into the postseason, because they are going to be very important just moving forward, because we know that field position is going to be critical, for this team. It's certainly going to help our offense, just generate points that way. We know that once our offense is going, it is hard for other teams to really keep up. And so if our defense is in sync with the offense here, we are going to be a very tough football team to stop. And so hopefully we're able to get that done. We do have Rico Dowdle coming in today. He has had a very good year. I think he's going into free agency. He's quietly over 1,000 yards. He's averaging 4.5 yards a carry. And so that the Dallas Cowboys are going to rely on him. They're also going to probably rely a little bit on Trey Lance to maybe help in that running department today. I think that he's scheduled to get some packages as well. And so hopefully the Washington Commanders can get on top of this one. And just a last update here going into this game and some of the other injuries to note. Tyler Owens did go to the IR to make room for Austin Ekeler to play today. You have Jordan McGee. He's inactive. Questionable, we've got KJ Osborne, I believe he's under an illness. And then you have Cornelius Lucas and then Tyler Biotis. They are doubtful. I talked about this in the last video. More than likely, we're probably going to see them for the playoffs. And so hopefully the Washington Commanders take care of business. We'll be talking post-game Washington Commanders. Hopefully we get it done. We are in the 6th seed. Let me know in the comments what you think about this exciting news with Austin Ekeler coming back. I'll see you guys in the post-game. And as usual, go Commanders. All right, man. Peace.